have control. I have control. I have control. Execute.
It wants you to know that you're using cinnamon.
Yeah, I don't use cinnamon in pretty much anything.
Cinnamon's fantastic.
Well, I don't dislike cinnamon.
It's like lime. Lime makes everything better.
I just find that cinnamon is better in desserts. Like I like cinnamon sugar, but
Yes.
cinnamon in like savory stuff, not my forte.
Different. It's different. It's very different.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say I actually make anything with. French toast. I put cinnamon on.
Well,
French
that's
toast.
dessert.
It is dessert, but it's the best fucking dessert ever, and you get to eat it for breakfast.
There is that.
I made some banging French toast
Yeah.
for Christmas
Nice.
this year. My mom taught me how to make French toast, so I that's like my job on Christmas is
Nice.
like, and it's every Christmas morning breakfast is always French toast and bacon. You can have all types of other shit in there too.
As
Maybe
long
some
as
sausage.
the French toast and bacon.
As long as there's French toast and bacon and syrup,
Yeah.
The year's gonna be okay.
I don't think the year's dependent on it.
Yeah, but sometimes that shit gets like, if the bread isn't right, like if it's not stale enough, or you don't like par bake it, or like par toast it.
So you just use Wonder Bread, right? You don't use like.
Well, this year we used. My mom got some challah bread or
Ooh.
challah bread.
You gotta get.
It's
that.
really easy.
You gotta get that.
It's easy for me to make that sound this week because
Yeah.
I'm recovering from the Wuhan flu.
What could you possibly be referring to?
I don't know, that the
No.
novel coronavirus. I don't know. I wasn't tested, but it felt like I got it the first time. So it was rough. So I apologize if I sound like absolute garbage on microphone tonight.
Are we live?
Oh yeah, we've been recording
Okay.
for this whole
Nice.
discussion on cinnamon.
Very good. How do I sound, by the way? Because
You sound a little far away.
well, I was trying to I'm finding myself doing this,
Yes.
and then on camera I look like this.
Yeah, you don't need to
So
do
I
that.
was
So you
trying-
can back up a little bit,
I was
and I
going
could
to
just
back
turn up
a
your
little bit and then go from there.
and
Testing 1 2 3.
Did I turn it the wrong way?
I don't know. Testing 1 2 3. There we go.
Yeah. As long as you don't like change a lot, like get it real
Right.
close and then real far away. That's actually that made my throat feel good. But yeah, so French toast.
French toast.
This year found an Alton Brown recipe. It was the shit. We par toasted, like we staled out the bread.
Nice.
Came out good. Came out real good. I don't know how we got on the stop.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Food.
French toast,
French
food,
toast.
cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Yep. But yeah, so we're rolling, man.
There we go.
Well,
Welcome to the Berm Limits presented by
welcome to Berm Limits.
yes,
With-
presented by
presented by Bulletn.net with Mike and Max. Someday we will figure out how to say that whole thing correctly.
maybe.
Or maybe it's just part of the charm of this.
It could be.
This
It
whole little
could be what
podcast.
people love. That and the 30s news can voice. I think those are the two things that when people tune in, they're like, are they going to do it today?
Consistency is key.
Yes.
Like being really shitty with the opener
Yeah.
and us not knowing what to say
And
when.
transitions. Don't forget about transitions.
As well as one of the things that I like is the cold open.
Oh, yeah.
Where I just start hitting the record button
Yes.
out of nowhere.
And you never know it's
mid-conversa-
being recorded.
Yes. So today you get that little tidbit on cinnamon.
I did that to Lewis on the interview I did with him. There was this one section where he's vaping. He's like, oh, give me one more. So it was recording.
He vapes.
Yes. So
Oh.
it was recording, and I cut that as a short and like doubled it over, and he immediately messaged me as like, "Way to fuck a buddy."
Well, he just fucked him again. Now on our podcast, blowing up his spot.
Well, hey Lewis, how you doing, man? Yeah.
I mean, I've tried them, but like,
My
There's-
daughter, if you're watching this,
she's
You-
probably not.
she-
Nobody watches this.
Well, I'll send it to her. If you're watching this, you know what's happening. I've given you 90 days. You've used 2 of those 90 days. You know what's coming in 90 days. You better wean yourself off.
Yeah.
I've got her current boyfriend roped into the plot.
Oh, well, I mean, there's some family bonding,
Yeah.
kind of worked out there.
He seems like a cool guy.
Well, that's good.
He's in my phone as just the boy.
The boy.
The boy.
Well, someday it may be like, maybe he'll, get in there as like guy.
Right.
Yeah. Or even like sort of son. Like maybe the name will progress.
My general term of affection for her ex was just faggot. That was my opening, like hey, and my daughter, when she first met him, like we jived.
There goes the YouTube monetization,
well,
by the way.
We jived right away, and she's like, you can't call him that. I said, yes, I can, and I have, because it's a term of endearment.
Well, I mean, I guess it can be. Anything can be a term of endearment.
Shithead,
you little Nazi.
Fucker.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
If you say it with love, I guess.
Exactly.
Fucking.
Oh shit.
So yeah. So that's what you call him, or called him.
Yeah.
But the
yeah.
new guy, the new guy seems to have a much better name.
Yeah. Well, no, he's just the boy because she didn't want to tell me his name.
I mean, it's better than having him in your phone as like dude that's
screwing
laying
my daughter.
pipe on my daughter.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, so, yeah, I mean, it's all good. I was trying to hook her up with Lewis.
I remember you saying that at some point.
Free training for life.
I mean,
he can't charge his father for training. He can't do that.
He could.
He could.
And he might.
He might.
Depending on what you call him in your phone.
Who?
Lewis. Like, what would Lewis become in your phone?
Just Lewis.
Yeah, but that's because he's in there already. But you might get inspired one day to be like,
maybe.
Porta
Mexican.
Yeah.
Porta Mexican.
Brown guy.
Brown guy. Yes. Not quite brown guy.
Not quite brown guy.
It's happening live, people.
Oh, you're gonna change his name on on your phone?
It's gonna be Lewis / not quite brown guy.
Lewis, if you're listening to this, I just want you to know that in my phone, you're listed as Lewis. Because I have respect for you.
Not quite. Oh, I can't spell. Quite brown.
You should just call him beige.
God,
it's kind of.
I like not quite brown.
That's not quite brown.
You gave me the idea. It was all you.
Well,
that's
speaking,
what I'm going to tell him when I tell him. There it is. Lewis, Mango,
not quite brown guy. Yeah. Well, speaking of Lewis, there is a huge announcement.
Yes.
That we're going to save. We're gonna tell you on this podcast, but you got to wait for the discussion topic, which I guess if we title it like we normally title it, we'll kind of give away.
We shouldn't.
Yeah, it'll be the topic.
Just big bulletin news.
Yeah. Well, the title of the podcast will at least have tactical response in it.
Oh, it shouldn't.
It's gonna. And I'm not going to tell you why, because we'll tell you when we get to our discussion topic. But it's a big day.
It is huge.
This week is huge.
And means a lot to.
It's huge. It's bigly.
Huge. Tremendous.
It's bigger than China.
Yes. Nothing's bigger than China. But yeah, it's definitely something that's close to my heart, and I know it is yours as well.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, very, very close. So we'll talk about it more, but keep listening because there's something big that we're going to announce.
Hopefully the fish hook is in and you don't just fast forward through the...
Yeah, there is that whole fast forward thing. You could just go to whatever the timestamp is for the start of the discussion topic. But
don't.
Yeah, we know everyone listens to this to hear our sultry voices talk about nothing anyway.
Exactly.
So, yeah, cool. Well, with that said, should we progress?
Yes.
Into bulletin points.
30s can voice from radio news.
Yes. January 16th, 2024. It's fucking cold outside, and we have. I should cold. Really write like a little script for this, but
you should.
Today in the world. Or this week in the world, the United States and the United Kingdom have started bombing the Yemen Houthi rebels, backed by the state of Iran. It happened. We're in the World War IV now.
We are certainly trying. I have to say, I have to respect them. They're dedicated. Like it's got to happen. They're gonna find a way.
The military-industrial complex will find a way. It's like Jurassic Park.
Yes,
they will find a way.
Yes.
So on the 12th, which I think was 6 days ago, I guess that would be last Wednesday or Tuesday, and it was at a different weird time because it's around the fucking globe. Why we're there, I don't know. The United States and the UK started targeting the Iranian-backed Houthis. And this is a quote from old Uncle Joe. These strikes are in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea.
How many ships do we lose?
I don't think it's any.
Well, unprecedented. So I mean, I'm assuming that there's got to be ships lost. I'm imagining burning hulls of ships that have been taken out by these Houthi fighters backed by Iran.
Yeah, I feel like I missed an opportunity on that one to like make an impression of Biden, because I like doing presidential impressions. You know, like Trump. It's bigly tremendous. Like he gets, but like how do you make an like
that I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, if I made an impression of Joe Biden, it would probably just sound like Ozzy.
Yes,
you know?
Yes.
These strikes in the direct response to the unprecedented Houthi, like, you know, Sharon. What's his wife's name? What's the first lady's name?
I have no idea.
I don't know. He was here this week.
Yes, he's been here twice in 2 weeks because he was in Valley Forge and he was at Montco.
Oh,
last week, and then he was in Allentown.
Yeah,
it's almost like he's campaigning in Pennsylvania or something.
Probably, you know, trying to bring in the Hispanic votes.
Remember, he's a working class man from Scranton.
Yeah, Scranton. Because that's where I think of prosperity and
development.
Joy.
Yes.
No, yeah, he was in town this week. I will not disclose the exact town that I'm in, but Allentown is my metro area, and that dude brought his motorcade like less than a mile from my house and like camped out in the downtown and went to like small businesses and stuff. Shut the whole fucking town down. They canceled school. It's like, oh yeah, this is really constructive. Thanks, guys. Whatever. I mean, and there was Palestinian protesters and like angry kids.
Of course,
it was a shit show. But yeah, so he showed up this week. But back to the story. There were 60 targets hit with missiles, airstrikes
by us.
Surface. Yeah. Well, yeah, we shot at them.
Okay.
Like it was a warship and submarine based Tomahawk missiles, fighter jets, just killing shit. Like
hundreds
just
of millions of dollars to put holes in dirt.
Right. And, you know, like I haven't heard any reports about like, oh, successful, like, oh, it's going to change the outcome. Like it's just another day. Like, I mean, it's so funny how this kind of went under the radar. It's like, oh, well, the U.S. is attacking another country or like, you know, targets in another country now. And it's like, yeah, business as usual.
Yeah, just, you know, it's what happens. It's what you do.
The funny part is the Houthis. They had a response. They had an official. They have a Twitter account. They have an X account.
Okay, I can see it. I was about to say, if you said officials, like.
It's official. It's a recognized social media. Like they have a spokesman.
Oh my god.
His name is, and I'm gonna probably
here we go.
Ali Al Kahoum. I think that's how it's spelled. Vowed that there would be retaliation.
Ooh.
Yeah. The battle will be bigger and beyond the imagination and expectation of the Americans and the British. That was
so they're gonna shoot 5 bottle rockets instead of 4.
Yeah, I don't, bro. Like, I don't know if you realize this, but we have been making business of, like, smashing small insurgencies to the ground. Like, we're terrible at the long game, but the short game, we fuck shit up.
Well, here's the thing too, is and I've heard this multiple times. If we wanted to, Afghanistan would have lasted 4 or 5 months.
Oh yeah, we were done.
Didn't want to. If we wanted to, Iraq would have lasted 6 to 8 months. But why do that when you can have 20 years of just a gold mine? So,
right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So, yeah, that was the big news this week. Like, national headlines. There's an article on the AP about it, and yeah, you know what? The one big question though that I had is, like, you keep seeing this term of Iranian-backed Houthi rebels.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, what does Iranian-backed mean? Like, what are they doing about it? Like, okay, if the news and the U.S. and the government is so inclined to label them as Iranian-backed, then why is there, like, a stipulation between, like, random dudes that are just angry and blowing shit up and state-acted terrorism and violence?
Yeah, I don't get it. Here's another question. So this is all happening in Yemen, which not long ago, the Saudis were just bombing them back into the Stone Age. So is this the remnants of what the Saudis missed? Is it just another group altogether? Whatever. The whole. It's just a shit show.
Indeed, it is a shit show.
The important thing is,
it's almost like the Middle East is nothing but a giant shit show.
It's almost as if it's been that way for a couple thousand years, and
yeah,
don't think it'll get resolved anytime soon.
And it's almost like we shouldn't be there at all. Anyway. So yeah. United States and UK bombing shit.
Thank God.
It's the start of it, guys.
Yeah. So
what do you got?
My story. So apparently, the Montgomery County sheriff, he has been tasking his deputies with doing inspections on gun dealers, and this comes because gun dealers in
Montgomery County in Pennsylvania.
Yes, in Pennsylvania.
Like in our state.
Yes. Yeah, I guess I should specify that because there are other
there's
Montgomery
a fuck
counties.
ton of Montgomery counties.
So Montgomery County in Pennsylvania, the county that I live in, is tasking his deputies because when you're a gun dealer in Pennsylvania, you basically have to sign a piece of paper saying that they're allowed to come and inspect without a warrant.
Just like you do. Well, I mean, let's give some background here, because when you get an FFL, you agree to that from the ATF as well.
Correct.
But
Pennsylvania is unique in the fact that the state, you have to sign the same agreement, I guess, with the state as well.
Yeah, so the state says, hey, we want to get in on that, sweet violation of your, privacy.
Yes.
Okay.
So at the same time, there were a bunch of emails that were uncovered between the Montgomery County Sheriff and a 2A organization, PA Ceasefire, and they're very damning in, their reports. Almost as if he's taking his direction from them, which is kind of in its own way.
No, a government official elected being swayed by a special interest liberal group.
I know it's shocking. And also, so the ATF, at least, they have training on how to do this. So the ATF, they do have training. They do have, they do train their people on how to do these inspections, on what to look for. As far as they can tell, the PA deputies have had no such training. So the question is not only why are they doing this, what's prompting it? Well, we know what's prompting it, but also, like, who is paying for this training that they don't have?
Right.
And
specifically, I doubt it's training regarding, like, how to bust down doors.
No,
I'm pretty sure they're good at that. They're cops.
Like what paperwork to look for, what what constitutes a violation.
Yeah,
if that's
what
they're
are they
looking for.
legally able to obtain and hold on to
That's the other thing
regarding
too.
like 4473s, the forms that we fill out whenever we buy a gun.
So the whole thing, and of course, the idea that once again, an elected official who swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States is breaking his oath.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Once again.
Well, I mean, normally we just get real jaded on it, but it sucks that it's like right here.
It's like right there, about 30 minutes.
Nuts.
So
And the crazy part is sheriffs, like they hold special privilege because they are the highest law enforcement entity, I believe. I think this is how it was explained to me at one point, in any certain location. So like the sheriff is basically the person who decides what's happening in that particular county.
Yes.
Overrules any of the local, even state police basically have to follow the sheriff's orders in that particular county because they're an elected position. Which is why it's big news across the country whenever like a sheriff says, well, we're not enforcing.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
We're not enforcing these bullshit gun laws.
And by the way, neither are you. Of course, it would be wonderful if we had a sheriff like that in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. We don't. And just for reference, so depending on where you live, sheriffs have different responsibilities. But for Montgomery County, the sheriff.
Oh well, let me. Are they responsible for actual policing and going out and patrolling and dealing with protecting the public?
No.
Oh, they're not? None of those things?
No. They basically, their responsibilities are security at courthouses. They are responsible for transporting prisoners, and they are responsible for serving wardens. So
I bet you they're responsible for theft of property from people too.
I'm sure.
When they repossess stuff that they say they own now and get to auction it off to the rest of the world.
Yes. So it's disturbing because it's one of those things where, I've heard time and time again, pay attention to your local elections because that is what is going to affect you first. And this is a perfect example of an individual who is an elected official who most people are not paying attention to what he's doing. They're not paying attention to the policies he's enforcing. And it is going to directly affect you as an individual inside of that county. So.
Yeah, man. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Fucking piece of shit.
Yes.
What else we got?
Okay, so there's another story that's kind of so the governor of Ohio recently vetoed a bill that was put forth as it was going to protect children from chemical castration and alteration sexually. Like that is
I'm assuming like gender affirming surgeries.
Yes. So he vetoed a bill that was going to protect children from these things, not allow them to be done.
Well, I mean, that sounds smart.
Why would you veto that bill? Like, why would you veto a bill that's set up to protect children?
I'm going to take a guess why he would veto it.
Here we go.
Because people, I use the term people loosely, through a hissy fit. Because of, it's not up, like it's not discriminatory towards minorities,
right? Because you should be allowed to change the gender of your 5-year-old child. I mean, you should be allowed to do that. I mean,
I'm gonna disagree to disagree.
So anyway, so he vetoes the bill. There is a public uproar over the fact that he vetoed said bill, and he basically flip-flopped and signed an executive order that would basically enforce what the bill was trying to do.
So there was a bill. He vetoed the bill.
Yes.
And then put out an executive order basically doing some of the key points from the bill.
And wait for it, he's a Republican.
Well, that's even stranger.
So to give credit to this, there is a chance that there was something else in the bill, some kind of a rider, and he vetoed it because of the other content inside the bill, which happens all the time. So there is a chance that was the reason why he vetoed the bill. I looked into it. I couldn't find anything else that was talking about the other content of the bill. So it's odd coming from a Republican governor to do something like this. So yeah.
I mean, what's next?
I don't know, man.
It's akin to a like Gavin Newsom saying like, "Hey, we're gonna roll back that Equality of Marriage Act stuff, and we're gonna deny
or
gay
say,
couples."
Or saying something like the fact of, we think all gun laws are wrong, and we're going to uphold the Second Amendment. That's like if Gavin Newsom said that.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same. Like the fact that a sitting Republican governor did that is just.
Well, you know what this sounds like? This sounds like Bud Light politics.
Yes.
And I'm just inventing that term right now.
I like it.
Whereas Bud Light, like, totally fucked up with that whole. What's the girl's name?
I can't remember.
Man, this happens every podcast.
Yes,
I bring
it
up
does.
something and I don't know the name. The transgender
Yes.
person, and which I have. I know sometimes we go a little deep into like, oh, kids shouldn't get transgender surgery. Yeah, okay. Well, you can have nuanced opinions. I have no problem with whoever that person is, and like, okay, cool. They were excited about Bud Light making a specialized can for them. Great. The problem was Bud Light totally misread their audience
completely,
and kind of went into this thing and then tilted into it when things started going south, and they're like, oh, let's take that back, and there was no recovering from it. It's like,
how much did each bullet that came out of Kid Rock's MP5 cost Bud Light? Like, per round, how much did that cost Bud Light?
I mean, truly, I don't think Kid Rock had any, like, okay, it made some news that day, but like, it was all the stuff on the following days. Like, it was just like, no offense to Kid Rock, but like, he was a piece of straw on a pile.
Yes.
Because you can't come back from ignoring and totally like disregarding your customer base. Like, you just can't.
There's other companies that have done that, that have had issues.
Oh yeah. But so like, this is Bud Light politics, where it's like, hey, we totally misread the room. People are upset. We don't want to deal with people like, protesting, bad press, whatever. So let's veto it. And then realizing afterwards, like, oh shit, that really wasn't our base. We need the other one. And it's like, man, all of it's reactionary. All of it is playing to like the least common denominator. It's all playing towards whatever the surface level bullshit politics are. So yeah, I would say it's Bud Light politics.
I would agree with you. Like I said, I'm hoping, I sincerely hope that there was something else there. But as much as I looked hoping to find something, I found nothing.
Yeah.
So do your own research, people. Do your own research
and vote these clowns out of office.
Oh my God, yes.
Especially in primaries. Like if you vote like a conservative ticket or a Democratic ticket, whatever. I mean, this is me advocating for something that I don't even do because I refuse to be a part of a quote unquote party. But if you are, try and get those idiots out early, like the ones that have not had good track records, because they deserve to be ousted.
Don't listen to what they're saying in election season. Look at what they've done.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's not how the world works.
Nope.
All right. I got one other kind of, culture and legal based story for tonight.
Okay.
Very closely related to our constant topic of discussion on this channel, training.
I thought it was toilets.
Well, those two. But no, so there has been an anti-training bill introduced in Congress. Now, of course, it doesn't go by that name.
Of course not.
But that's essentially what it does.
I'm sure it's some protective something or
it's
another.
got a long-winded name,
I'm sure it does.
which of course has some vague words in it. It's called the Preventing Private Paramilitary Activity Act.
Ooh, the PPP, the P.
Yeah,
it's the P.
The PPPAA.
The PP.
Introduced by Senator Ed Markey, a Democrat from Massachusetts. Gee, I wonder how this one's going to slant.
Oh my God.
And also Representative Jamie Raskin, Democrat from Maryland.
Another freedom-loving state.
So it's a bi-house or whatever, like a dual house and Senate bill. Hasn't been officially submitted yet. I think this was kind of like their opening salvo of like, hey, we're submitting this, and it's got to go through committee, and it's got to go through it's got to go through general session and all this other stuff. So it's very, very far from.
Well, that way they can get their lobbyists lined up.
Yeah, and I'm sure they can throw in all different types of pork barrel funding for whatever they want in here. Okay, so here's the one-liner, the abstract from the top of the bill. It prohibits publicly patrolling, drilling, or engaging in harmful or deadly paramilitary techniques. Which, if you're looking at it just at its face value, I guess sounds scary. Like paramilitary.
Paramilitary.
What is that?
It's bad.
By the way, if you aren't aware, the Boy Scouts of America are a paramilitary organization.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So keep that in mind when we're talking about these other things that we're about to do. Like this law.
Suddenly the Boy Scouts are that much cooler.
Essentially would outlaw the Boy Scouts of America, the Girl Scouts of America.
It's almost like it's vague enough that they can apply it to anything they want.
Yeah, it's totally a fucking security blanket type thing. Like we can twist this into any way that we want to. And of course this is a response to
which.
Yeah, well, what's the big
pick.
topic of conversation of every progressive and liberal like what event?
School shootings.
No, actually, school shootings are usually one person. That's not paramilitary.
Oh, true.
What's the last thing that you could think of that had a shit ton of people that were acting on a government complex?
Let's see. I believe it happened in January.
Yeah,
around on the 6th.
Yeah, the January 6th thing. Which was a riot.
Yes.
Yes. Like it was a bunch of people all incited into doing, crazy shit, which if we ever get into a topic on that thing, I'm sure I have unpopular opinions amongst our circles about what, incitement of that. However, I'm going off topic. Like this is a response to what happened January 6th at the Capitol in 2021. So, which keep this in mind too. In that incident, no firearms were used.
Nope.
You can maybe say there were weapons like, blunt weapons or whatever.
The only firearm used
was from a Capitol Police was it Capitol Police or Senate Police? I forget whoever.
I don't think it was Capitol Police. I think it was whoever protects. It was federal that protects.
Like Secret Service?
I don't think it's Secret Service. I think it was whatever federal entity protects the Capitol.
Capitol Police are federal.
Oh, I thought they were state. I thought they were city.
Well, the District of Columbia is a federal territory.
Oh, you're right.
Federal territory.
Yeah, you might be right then.
So I think it was Capitol Police shot that girl that was going through the window. And we can get into arguments on that too, and whether or not that was an appropriate reaction. However, the only firearm used that day was on the part of a defender, quote unquote, of the Capitol, somebody who shot one of the protesters. Sorry, not even protesters. They were fucking rioters. And no paramilitary techniques were really used that day. It wasn't organized. It wasn't like they had, roving bands of squads moving around things and fire teams and all this other shit that we know actually, classifies as quote unquote paramilitary.
Yeah.
They're just using that as a general thing of like, oh, there was some level of organization and there was some level of quote unquote violence against the U.S. So that's paramilitary. So this is a little lengthy, but I want to go through these points so that everyone understands just how fucking broad this shit is. The bill makes it unlawful to, 1, publicly patrol, drill, or engage in techniques capable of causing bodily injury or death. Okay, yeah, so you shouldn't go out and rove around and hurt people and kill people. Okay, yeah, let's prohibit that. I'm pretty sure that's already fucking prohibited.
I'm pretty sure that's already illegal.
Yeah. But it says engage in techniques capable of causing bodily injury or death. So we can't.
That means every judo school, every karate school,
Yep.
any jujitsu schools, anything self-defense related where you learn techniques
Capable of hurting someone.
shut it down.
Yeah. Well, no, not even the schools, but just the action itself of possibly causing bodily harm, we're shutting it down.
I mean, that means baseball, because I mean, you could hurt someone with a baseball bat.
Absolutely. Football for sure.
Yeah, tennis. I mean, you could hurt someone with a tennis racket.
Mm-hmm. Selling Girl Scout cookies. Right. I mean, those things will create heart disease.
Killed more
They've killed more people than. Anyway, so that's the number one thing. Number 2, interfere with, interrupt, or attempt to interfere with or interrupt government operations or a government proceeding. So don't stop us from being the government. Don't interfere. In other words, don't protest.
In other words, protests are no longer allowed.
Yeah, Number 3, interfere with or intimidate another person in that person's exercise of any right under the Constitution of the United States. Okay, well, while in principle I agree with this, like you shouldn't be able to threaten somebody else, but it doesn't say threaten. It doesn't say that. It says you're not allowed to intimidate them. We live in a world now where just being intimidates somebody. Yes. And then you have to defend yourself against the interpretation or the perception of the other person, not your actual actions.
I mean, that one actually could turn on them because they're labeling it in the Bill of Rights. And if you know it or not, the Second Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights. So that one, I guarantee you they're going to cut out because that could turn back on them.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
Okay, so number 4, assume the functions of a law enforcement officer, peace officer, or public official, whether or not the acting under the color of law, and thereby assert authority or purport to assert authority over another person without the consent of that person. So, in other words, you can't act or do act like or do anything that is remotely related to being a police officer. So I think that one was thrown in there. That to me sounds very much like a response to the kid from Ohio or Wisconsin.
We're horrible with names.
I suck at names.
We should know that.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Thank you.
Sounds like that, where it's like, oh, well, you had organized groups that went to a town to try and protect it from rioters.
It's almost like he walked around for hours with a medical bag trying to help people before the incident happened.
So, you can't take on any responsibilities of any police organization ever, including the skills and stuff that they learn. So, I don't know, taser training,
directing traffic,
use of pepper spray, force control techniques.
Yep.
Coming back to that whole BJJ discussion again, where it's like, oh, well, anything you do in BJJ is controlling another opponent. That can be basically what you're supposed to do when you're a police officer. So you can't do that anymore.
I mean, really what they should call this bill is Recipe for Tyranny.
Yeah, it's absolutely batshit crazy. So those are the 4 things it outlaw. It makes it unlawful to do, right? And there's a whole host of them. Obviously, we just talked about them in how absolutely fucking batshit crazy they are. But there's a 5th thing that it clarifies in there. And this is the kicker. So
this is the mic drop.
Those first 4 describe actions.
Yes.
The 5th one, it's unlawful to train to engage in any activity described in the paragraphs prior. So not only are you not allowed to do those things, you're not allowed to go out and defend your community. You're not allowed to go out and learn and basically engage in any activity that could harm another person through a martial art. You're not allowed to go out and protest to disrupt government operations. Now, you're no longer allowed to even learn how to do them. This is the scary part. Like, the other ones are fucking scary.
But this is yes.
like fucking tyranny 101.
Yeah, this is recipe for tyranny. There's 5 parts. We've given you the first 4. Now we're going to turn the fire on for the 5th part.
Yeah. And they slide it in as number 5, where it's like, hey, you know what? We're going to violate a whole bunch of things in the Bill of Rights.
Right.
Privacy, right to protest, freedom of assembly, firearm, like, the Second Amendment. And by the way, now we're going to take away the first one.
Yeah.
Where your freedom of speech, your freedom of thought to share ideas across, to another person, we're now outlawing that. Because we think that the outcomes of it are no good.
Right. Because
that is fucking crazy.
Now, this is what I would hope. And this is what I think. Obviously, this is, like you said, they're presenting this as this is the first salvo they've shot across the bow.
Yeah.
If this bill was introduced pre-CUFIS,
CUFIS?
I'm trying not to say the word. What you just got better from. I'm trying to keep our mind. Yeah, there you go. Pre-COVID, I think that this would have had a better chance of at least getting strong support from the liberal side of things. I mean, the people.
Oh, it's going to get strong support from
the people in
that
power
side regardless.
are going to do whatever they're going to do. Hopefully, the rising gun sales, people seeing that they're no longer no one's coming to save them. Hopefully, has injected enough of that mindset into people that there's going to be uproar over this. Hopefully.
You hope.
Hope.
However, that requires people talking about it, and it requires people calling it for what it is.
Yeah.
It's the Anti-Training Act.
Yeah.
It is the Anti-Self-Defense Act. It is the First Amendment Act. That's what this should be called.
Yes.
But instead they're calling it the Preventing Private Paramilitary Activity Act. Because, God forbid, people get together, wear patches that have similar colors on them, speak in familiar languages, train and organize together to be able to accomplish things together. I make absolutely no bones about the fact that I have done things that are probably far beyond what's considered here to be paramilitary. Training, in even not professional training, just like, hey, you know what? I've got a bunch of friends and we should learn how to do this thing in case X happens. Yeah, 100%. I have done that shit. And I'm proud to say that I've done that shit because that's what everybody should be able to do.
And more importantly, it's what you should be doing.
Yes.
Because the reality is that if you look historically through, like you're relying on the people around you. That's the reality of it. So whether you have people around you that are capable or incapable, you're still relying on those people. So the idea is that you should have your group of people, have them have some kind of training, have some kind of knowledge on how to support each other so that, God forbid, something happens, even if it's something as simple as a nasty tornado roll through, you're able to respond and help each other. That's what community should be all about. Yeah, and this basically is outlining a way for them to try to prevent that from being possible.
Yeah, it's outlawing organization of people learning to either defend or just defend themselves or prepare to defend themselves or train to defend themselves. It is absolutely nuts. In the grand scheme of things, we've already lost the word militia. By the way, I don't know if anybody's listening to this. The word militia used to mean something completely different than what we think of it now. Now we think of dudes in army fatigues going out and LARPing in the woods that have fake ranks and call each other sir or whatever. Because a lot of documentaries have been made and those types of organizations exist, and they're kind of jokey. However, the idea of the militia was it's you, it's me, it's everybody. Militia is the possible defensive capability of a state. So like the populace itself is the militia. We've lost that term. People think of militia, hear the word militia now, and they think of it as being like some podunk, like, you know, ragtag group of individuals that are, you know, white supremacists or whatever. It's absolutely not true, but that term has been eroded. Now they're like, well, we're going to go after this word paramilitary because we're going to classify everyone under that term, and then we're going to outlaw everything that's related to it.
Yep.
It's scary. Like this type of legislation is scary, and it directly, like if shit like this moves forward, and I don't think it will. I think this is going to die so quickly on the vine, not because of parts 1 through 4, but because of the last one, the outlawing of the training to engage. I think that will be the Achilles heel of whatever they're trying to go for, because the government has had a shitty track record of outlawing the First Amendment. They lose on it pretty much every fucking time. And if they don't lose on it right away, it comes back and slaps them in the face eventually.
I mean, the one good thing that you can rely on the government is to routinely fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Like if they were ever good at what they did and what they're trying to do, we'd be in a much worse place. So, I mean, hopefully something like that is not going to go through. Hopefully it gets enough attention. Damn, it hurt. It gets enough attention that it gets eyes on it for what it truly is, and not damn trolley horse. And it isn't something that brews or gets relabeled or backdoors in. I don't think with the current attitude and of the country that it would do well, would be my guess, unless you try and backdoor it in. But the reality is, it doesn't matter what it is. Whether
it's how well they sell it, though.
Exactly.
That's the thing. So, you know, keep an eye on this one, guys. I know I'm going to, because it's very closely related to the things that you and I care about. And when it comes time, tell all the people related to this thing to go fuck themselves, because it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the big one for tonight in terms of like something I wanted to bring to the table of like, this is nuts. This is just fucking straight up batshit crazy.
It goes so far beyond even just affecting training. Like it literally has the ability to anything you want to do that in any way threatens our ability to be in power, we now can kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like it literally is like an anti-representation bill, because if we're not held responsible for our actions by the people that put us in office, we can do whatever the hell we want to do.
Mm-hmm. So
good stuff.
Yeah, great stuff.
So,
and then one last thing.
So you are going to SHOT Show.
SHOT Show. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do when you hear SHOT Show, but yes.
SHOT Show.
SHOT Show. Next week I will be in Las Vegas.
I will not be.
No, because you're lame.
I am lame. He was very kind to offer me a spot that someone vacated. Unfortunately, I am unable to jump on that, which is lame.
Yes. If you're unfamiliar, SHOT Show is the shooting, hunting, and outdoor trade show. Happens every year. I think for the last 20 some odd years, it has been in Las Vegas. And it's about the same time every year. It's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like, huge.
I don't think anyone that hasn't been there really can get a concept for how big
it
is.
Last year was my first year there, and it was just awe-inspiring, like how big it is. What I will say is, don't feel like you're missing out, because it's a lot of fucking walking and not a lot to do from a consumer standpoint. Luckily, I have, connections within the professional side of the firearms world now. And I go there for Bulletn, like to make contacts and to do kind of businessy things. For a consumer just going to check it out, yeah, there's some cool shit, but it's way easier to go to like the NRA, the National Rifle Association annual meeting. This year it's in Dallas, I think in either March or April. I don't know the date off the top of my head. But if you're interested in seeing all this cool shit, go there. Because that is a meeting geared for you. And with all the shit going on with the NRA, I guarantee it's going to be fucking, interesting this year.
I think it's going to be off the chain because they know that there's a lot of attention on them currently. So my guess is they are going to go above and beyond what they had planned to do.
Yeah,
if I had to guess.
But for SHOT Show, it's even bigger. It's just very spread out. There's like all different types of weird categories there, suppliers and all types of knickknacks and things, all related to the firearms industry, outdoor industry, hunting industry. And it's like 18 acres of space.
Holy shit!
And one of the
Are you gonna bring a pair of those wheelie sneakers?
I did get new sneakers.
Ooh.
Just for SHOT Show. Last year I wore a pair of like hiker Merrells.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! By like day 3, my knees and feet were fucking killing me because you're just walking on concrete, like no give,
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, if you go down every aisle, it's a half marathon.
Damn.
So that's like 13 something miles of just aisles.
Well, after what your wife went through, you shouldn't complain or anything. You should be like,
So I went out.
You should jog it.
I went out and got a new pair of, I think they're considered to be trail runners or whatever. They're basically running shoes,
right?
So things that have a like springy cushion under the bottom, because my other hikers were kind of getting worn out and they were pretty compressed. So hopefully these will help save the legs a bit this year. But I'm still gonna be hurting like something fierce. So I'm bringing as a matter of fact, I gotta add ibuprofen to my packing list.
So who are you looking forward to seeing there? Like, are there any key booths you want to get to? Any key people you want to try and talk to? Yes.
People wise, as a matter of fact, I was just chatting with him today on Messenger. Curtis Hallstrom from the VSO Good channel.
Nice.
I got to meet him a couple, it's like 4 or 5 years ago at NRA show. And I kept in touch with him, saw him again at SHOT Show last year. He's a great guy. We managed to, I was fortunate enough to grab dinner with him and a few other people last year. And it was the highlight of my whole week. So kept in touch with him this year. We were chatting about what's going on next week or whatever. And out of anybody that's going to be at the show, he's probably the one that I'm most excited to see.
Yeah.
As somebody that I don't usually get to talk to or see other times of the year. So definitely check out his channel, by the way. He's got amazing content.
His channel, it is one of my go-tos. Like, whenever I see that he's reviewing like a piece of gear, I pay attention because I know the review is going to be very, very objective. He's not going to be swayed by anything other than what he's actually seeing, what's happening for him. Mm-hmm. I reached out to him on the suppressor thing. And I just had messaged him saying, hey, I'm thinking about getting this particular suppressor. I know you had it on your channel. Have you seen, anything different from what you reviewed when you did the video? He gave big thumbs up, said it's been just as good as it was during the testing process.
Which one?
I'm going with AB suppressors.
AB, okay.
So, yeah. So that it was again. This is a busy guy.
Yeah,
and he I messaged him on Messenger. I'm like, he's never going to respond to me. And he was like immediately within a minute responded not the typical if you ever message someone that is got stuff going on, sometimes you get this automated response.
Sure.
It was actually him saying, hey, so from everything I've seen from watching his stuff and what communication I've had with him, seems like an awesome dude.
Oh no, he's great. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the kind of inspiration for this channel, the Bulletn channel, comes from conversations that I got to have with him last year at SHOT Show of hey, how do you do audio? And what's the tips for kind of getting things done? And I really took that stuff to heart and Yeah, he's a good dude.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him. Actually, I'm really looking forward to the guys that I'll be staying with while I'm out there. And those are guys I see a lot of the time here.
Yeah, but whenever you can get them all in one space.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome time. Going out with Shinde and Gary Marr. Gary was kind enough to allow me to ride his coattails for another year. So technically, I'm going to SHOT Show under the Tremis
Are they
Dynamics.
big enough?
Yeah. The Tremis Dynamics channel on YouTube is the one that actually I will be going under for SHOT Show as media.
Great videos when he does them.
Yes. Well, he's a fickle guy.
I really shouldn't say anything because I haven't put anything.
Yeah,
out in like
I mean,
a
neither
month
have
and a
I.
half, but
So I love those guys. They're my brothers. And I'm actually super excited too. I'm gonna get to see Brian Keeney while I'm out there.
nice.
So I would love to spend some time with him. I owe him dinner. So Brian, if you happen to listen to this, I'm buying you dinner when we
Pick
go
an
up.
expensive spot.
Well, we're also going to there's a Brazilian steakhouse there.
Ooh.
I think we're gonna try and get there one night.
love Brazilian
Yeah, I owe
steakhouses.
Brian because he helped me with that whole the dead air fiasco stuff. It's not a fiasco. Hopefully, I'll get to meet those guys while I'm out there too.
Are you just gonna punch him in the nuts when you see him?
Who, Brian?
No, the dead air guys. You're just gonna walk up and say, "Goom."
No, I'm gonna say, hey guys, I'm
What
Mike.
the
We're the ones
Yeah.
that have been talking over the phone. Because like I met them and like that's what has tempered the whole thing. Like if it
Right.
was just like a random, like I talked to nobody and I just had to deal with it, I'd be really upset about the whole situation. But the fact that I know people there
Right.
and I can talk to them and they can explain like these are the troubles we're facing, these are the things that we're trying to do, this is what we're really trying to accomplish and like how we're trying to help people. I'm like, okay, I can understand that, and that tempers the consumer side of me that's like, oh god, I just wish I had my thing. That takes me forever to get and costs me a bunch of money. So actually I am looking forward to hopefully getting to meet either Todd or Mike from Dead Air on, because I got to talk to both of them on the phone over the last year or so, and the guys from Midwest, love
Oh,
hanging out
yeah.
with them, Pete and Troy, and
I don't think did I ever tell you the story of my Midwest experience?
no,
So I'm an intelligent individual. So my daughter,
debatable.
and this is going to contradict that statement. So my daughter was graduating from the academy, and she was up at Chicago Lakes, North Chicago, where the
Great Lakes facility,
there you go. Thank you.
because she's in the Navy,
She's in the Navy.
which is not an academy. I think that's called boot camp.
Whatever the hell.
The academy is in fucking Annapolis.
He's right. See, I'm already see how I'm contradicting the statement. But anyway, I was 45 minutes from Midwest Industries.
Oh,
So I said to my son-in-law, I'm like, dude, we're going to Midwest. So drove out there, 45 minutes. It's about 45-minute drive from where we were, and roll up, and they're closed. And then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's like a weekday. It's normal business hours. And then I realized, like, it is the week of SHOT Show. So I decided to go to Midwest Industries during SHOT Show week. So as we're sitting there in the parking lot, I'm like, what are we going to do now? A guy comes walking out, walking his dog, Pete, and says, hey, what's up? I said, hey, we just came out because my daughter's graduating. We were 45 minutes away. Wanted to stop by. Forgot I was SHOT Show week. Jaeger always talks great about you. He's like, oh, you know Jaeger? I said, yeah. I said, I'm an alumnus down at TAC Response. And that guy opened the shop, turned everything on, couldn't have been nicer. Showed us what we wanted to see. I wound up buying a rail and some other stuff. But like, totally opened the shop for two morons that showed up during SHOT Show week.
yeah.
So like that's like those guys are fantastic.
Yeah, Pete's good people.
Yeah.
My favorite thing ever is if you ever get the opportunity to stop by a Midwest booth at SHOT Show, just listen to Troy throughout the day. His fucking commentary is comedic gold. It's a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys. And a lot of like other brands too. Z-Bolt. Really looking forward
Yeah.
to hitting the Z-Bolt booth, the ACAL, which we reported on a few weeks ago.
Be cool
They've been flooding their social media with information on the ACAL. It looks awesome.
Be really cool if you could. If what's the name of that company that had the import night vision?
Infrared.
Yes.
They're on my list. However, it doesn't. It looks like it's just their outdoor. What do they call it? Their division or
Okay.
whatever, which is like it's some thermal stuff, but it's not. It's
okay.
not like the tactical stuff. I don't know. I'm still gonna go by their booth and be like, hey guys, do you have any of the Jerry 31s or the Jerry 15s?
Because I've been seeing them a
14s?
lot on my social,
Yeah.
a lot, and I don't know if it's because
Probably because we talked about it.
well, we talked about it. And I did go on the website and look, so I'm sure that's part of the reason why. But it's like all of a sudden, like
That's 100% why.
white phosphorus, dual tubes
Yeah.
for $8,000. Buy me now.
Well, theirs are 4, which is nice. But yeah, I'd love to chat with those guys. Hopefully, maybe even make a contact and see if I can like do a review on something.
That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing. And there's a whole host of other stuff too, but those are kind of like the highlights. And like I said last week on the podcast, like. Yeah, like the stuff is. Like another shout out to do is I'm looking forward to meeting Nancy Stevens from Tough Products, which everyone listening is probably like, what the fuck is Tough Products?
I'm saying, what the hell is Tough Products?
Yeah, well, Tough Products is they make a lot of gear for other companies as resell, like nylon gear. However, they're also like one of the best people that you can go to particularly in this industry that make like patches. So I got to see them last year and went by their booth. I'm like, hey, cool, you guys make patches and all this stuff. They're like, yeah, it's like, kind of one of their main businesses is like vinyl patches, sewn patches, all types of like promotional gear type things. And they do a little scavenger hunt type thing where if you go to their booth, you get like a patch panel, and then you got to go to different booths and get these matching.
That's pretty cool.
Patches and stuff. They make it fun. So like I talked to Nancy. She was super, super supportive of Bulletn when I chatted with her, and she was excited about the platform and turned us on to a few other trainers out west. I'm like super excited to get to meet her in person. Yeah, although I technically think I met her last year, but we didn't know each other then. Right. So, and I bought some patches this year where I'm going to hand out at SHOT Show. So, like it's all about the people.
Yeah,
like I'm super excited to see people. Hopefully, I'm going to see Joey and Lewis.
Yes,
while I'm out there too. I've been chatting with them, trying to find some common times to meet up with people. Hopefully, I'll get some interviews while I'm out there. My plan is to get some 5 with a Fighter interviews with whoever I can, just because they're short and they don't take a lot of time up for people, and just whatever I can, that gets content in front of you guys. So that's the big thing I'm going out there for.
I would love to see that interview with Brian Keeney.
Yes, well, Brian,
that would be the 5 with a Fighter would be great with Brian.
Yeah, I might even try to see if I can get a longer conversation with Brian because we're staying together.
So like he can't escape.
Yeah, I've got it's a captured audience.
You can corner him in a room.
Because man, I would just I love talking to that dude. Sometimes we have phone calls and like it's an hour later. I'm like, hey man, so I don't know if you know this, but we've both been chatting for an hour and neither one of us thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, he's awesome,
and he's a good dude. So
he is.
Hopefully gonna get some good conversations while I'm out there.
Well, I am looking forward to everything you bring back.
Well, thank you. So the big thing is, this is a bit of a plug for anybody listening. Keep an eye on the Bulletn social medias next week. I will be trying to post as much as I possibly can from out there, even maybe trying to like get some quick videos of cool stuff that I'm seeing and just kind of throwing them up that day, probably unedited. Just to get you guys the cool things right away. There are some cool products, things related to the training world that, I don't know well enough yet to be able to kind of tell everyone about, but I'm hoping that'll be a trip to kind of get some information from the people who sell them. So
Tactical Response did a great job last year of they were the first. Like it was crazy how fast they were pumping the videos out.
Yeah,
because they were just doing those shorts. And I think when you can get those eyes on a product and be the first one to get the eyes on, I think that is very beneficial to the channel and its expansion and everything else.
Well, I doubt I'll be first, but either way, I want to get you guys, everyone who's loyal to this channel and listening, and I'm sure there will be quicker and more thoughtful deliveries from people like Curtis and all the other gun channels that are going to be out there. But it doesn't matter because I'm putting it out there for you guys. So
watch his anyway.
Yeah, watch mine anyway. Watch them both. Watch all of them. It's all good. But yeah, SHOT Show is going to be fun.
Nice.
So that's everything for bulletin points. I know we've gone a little long. I think we've been doing this for about an hour already. But if you've made it this far into the podcast, there is a little drum roll.
Big news.
There's some
big news.
Big fucking news.
And we should end it here and make them wait the 2 weeks
before coming back from SHOT Show.
Coming back.
Maybe that would be a way to build suspense with all
15
12
or 20 people
that will listen to this. 6 of which will be me as I'm listening to it as it uploads.
I'm 5. I'm 7 and 8.
So it's just us. It's just us listening to this. But the big news this week, Tactical Response can now be found on Bulletn.
Fuck yeah.
That is huge.
Yes.
Aside from the fact that they're a very well-known name, a powerhouse in the industry, if you will. I mean, granted, with James's passing, it's been a little bit harder for them to get the word out there. I'm happy to help kind of do that, try to get some people into some classes. The thing that I'm super excited about is that Tactical Response is the foundation of my training.
Right.
And yours.
Yeah.
100%. It was the first place that I ever trained at. My first exposure to the training world was through James's YouTube channel. It is very much a part of who I am, how I've learned to teach. It was 100%, and I make no bones about this. Like, James's influence was the kind of impetus for what I wanted to do with Bulletn in terms of getting everyone together to get to promote training across different schools. So that people could kind of expand their paths outwards and that trainers didn't have to work so damn hard to be able to fill classes.
Right.
So, as a personal goal, this has been, the one that I was hoping to see forever. I try not to, put out there, be like, man, I'd really like this trainer to be on Bulletn, and then say it too many times because it kind of sounds like you're trying to egg them on or something. I just try not to do that. But within my heart, this was the one, since I started Bulletn, I'm like, oh man, I hope I can help them.
Yeah.
I hope that they see value in this. All the people involved with Tactical Response, because it's very much their efforts, what they've built influenced what this is.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would not be the person that I am right now if it wasn't for Tactical Response, James's influence, the people's influence that are students there, that are trainers there. I was going the right way, but it 100% refined the direction that I wanted to go with my own personal growth. It's way more than shooting a gun. That's such a small part of the things that it has brought into my life. So yeah, when you told me, I was really excited, and also, again, just like you, I was hoping to see it. And the fact that they're one of the few schools that brings training to more than just their neck of the woods. They bring training to other places in the country and draw in people from those areas to train.
Yeah.
There's not many schools that can say that.
Yeah, which is also something that, aside from trying to get the word out about them on the national level with Bulletn and being searchable wherever they are, which hopefully will be a lot easier because it's, funny story. The reason the first idea of Bulletn was about 5 or 6 years ago, because I got really frustrated looking at the tactical response calendar.
It's a hot mess.
It's not that bad. I mean, the problem is that it's a calendar and it's got like all these different dates on it. So like there was this, I remember James was talking about it on a video or maybe a live stream one day or whatever. He's like, if anybody has ideas on how to like fix the calendar or whatever. So I made like a mock-up back then. And I think I even emailed it to him like, hey man, I think you should do this. That was the very first implementation or impetus of Bulletn. Except it was only for one company. It was me trying to like help them do the thing with the calendar. And I don't think it went anywhere. And he probably had an inbox full of like a million fucking people. But like that, it's just funny because like me wanting to make a calendar that allowed everything to aggregate together that was easily searchable for different locations was because I every couple of months was on the Tactical Response website looking at their calendars, being like, when are they coming to Pennsylvania?
Yep.
When are they going to be in Palmyra? And
well, I can tell you right now that when you told me that, I immediately went on Bulletn and I searched. And ironically, I was able to find things much, much easier through Bulletn than through the calendar. Because I know you guys have a million things that you're doing, but that scheduling calendar is a hot mess.
It's not bad. It's good for one company, but But being on this platform where it's like it aggregates together, and that's the thing that it makes it a lot easier in terms of like you can look by your location.
Yep.
And that's that, and like you said, that's the thing about Tactical Response, and the way that we got exposed to them was the fact that they're willing to hop in the car and go to different places in the U.S. to bring that curriculum. A side note, something I'm also trying to help them with is scheduling some classes up here as a host. So stay tuned for that too. So aside from just being able to look at Bulletn across the country, I'm also hoping to find some ranges in the area that will support a tactical response class, which is harder than you would think it is.
It's very tough
because of all the FUD clubs in the area that don't understand what fighting is. They understand shooting as long as it's at a bench and you only put 3 rounds in the chamber at a time, and you wear a checkered hat and you shoot at rabbits. Like that's okay. Don't
forget the leather patch for the shoulder.
Yeah,
the elbow patches that are on the jacket. Don't forget that.
Yep.
No, it's very tough. And the part of the problem too is the ones that do these things and do understand these things are a lot of times LE only. So that even if you find one that allows that to happen, civilians can't do those things.
So I've got some leads. So I'm trying to help Tactical Response as well as, and I don't want this to be just, to forget about the fact that, there are other awesome trainers out there too, and we're trying to bring them to the Eastern Pennsylvania area. So if you know of any ranges, especially private, that is the best, like places where somebody owns and they don't give a shit what people are doing as long as it's safe. Please hit me up. But yeah, I'm looking to help build the training community up in Eastern Pennsylvania. I'd love to make it like a powerhouse of the training world, of like everyone coming here.
Yep.
Because we have a great student base. Tennessee kind of owns that world right now, I believe. Because Tactical Response is based there. A bunch of other fucking training companies are based there. There are kind of training centers around the country, Tennessee being one of them, Nevada being one, Florida's got a bunch of trainers in it, and there's like clusters. But I would love for Eastern Pennsylvania to kind of get some of these travel trainers in here too to kind of do that. So
guys, if you want to see training come to this area, if you want to see these classes, sign up for the classes. Like the way we get these trainers here is to show that there's going to be a base of students for them. I mean, that's how it happens.
Yes.
Without that, you're not going to get these trainers to do the traveling because they got to be able to afford to come here and do their thing. So it's hugely important that, you know, you're interactive with this, because the more that you do, the more in the end that you get.
Yep. But so this is all a long way of saying that our big announcement for tonight is the fact that Tactical Response is joining us on Bulletn. We're happy and honored to kind of help them fill some classes and connect with more students, and for their students as well to kind of get exposed to like more trainers that are out there. The rising tide raises all ships.
Yes.
But we thought it would be fun to have a discussion tonight on our experiences with Tactical Response.
Yes.
And how we were exposed to it and where we're going with it. So with that, Max, let me ask you the question, sir. How did you first get exposed to Tactical Response?
So I started with Nothing Fancy, like many people do, because
What's Nothing Fancy?
Oh my God.
Like, I think I've heard is that a YouTube channel?
Yes, a YouTube channel. So
Okay.
He's one of the OGs, you know, of gun tubers. And I was looking into getting body armor because I had been exposed to the reality of the world. I think I've talked about that before on here. I don't think I need to repeat that.
Well, we're all familiar with the world. So.
Yeah, the world. Anyway, so I was looking for body armor, and I did a search, and I had seen that AR-500 was relatively inexpensive, decent quality. So I did a search and found this video of this guy who clearly has issues. Couldn't stop picking at his shirt every 5 seconds
because it was too tight.
Oh my God!
Did it have like a cool graphic print on it too?
I think it was like what Affliction or one of those. and but besides all that, he was charismatic and he got the information out. So I was like, let me look at this guy, and I started watching videos. And I went down the rabbit hole of videos. And that was my first exposure to who James Yeager was, who Tactical Response was. And then I found out that not only was this guy on YouTube, but he had like a school.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that got me was that it wasn't gear centric. Like, gear was the least important thing.
Yeah.
And that
it's almost like they have a hierarchy.
Like a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And that got me. Like, that got me because my mind frame was of the same ilk.
Mm-hmm.
And I took way too long, but eventually I made the journey to Mecca. And my first class was at Tactical Response in Camden.
Oh.
Staying in the team room, exposed to James Yeager immediately upon arriving at said team room.
I'm so sorry. No, I'm kidding.
Him wondering why I was handing him a bat wrapped in barbed wire. Because that was what I had brought with me. I was like, I'm going to give him because he
was
had
The Walking Dead big at the time or something?
Yeah, and he had this really lame bat that he showed on the channel a few times.
Oh, okay.
That was like wrapped in like aluminum something or another. And I'm like, I could make a better version of that. So I made him and Willis both bats wrapped in real barbed wire,
mm-hmm.
splattered with blood. And that was like my thing of like, here you go. This is my...
Wow.
I brought Diet Pepsi for Scully. Yeah, I can't show up.
You fanned it out a little.
Well, here's the thing. I have a thing where I don't show up empty handed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it bothers me. But anyway, yeah. So, and then like I had my 2 days of the fire hose, and yeah.
Which class was first?
Fighting pistol.
Fighting pistol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like most of us.
Of course, I didn't listen, and I didn't do the trifecta like I should have, and was told repeatedly, do this.
Dude, it's a fucking commitment. Like a 6-day class for your first class, while it would be amazing,
is a lot.
It's a lot.
So how about you?
So I think I forget which video it was. I kind of went into this a little bit on one of the videos on the Bulletn channel, but on my honeymoon, I met one of my best friends, a guy that I don't get to see or talk to nearly enough. His name's Scott. He's from the Memphis area. We both got married on the same day, and we went on honeymoon to Jamaica.
Nice.
Separately, of course. And we went on like a couple of like shore or like tour excursions, whatever they call it. We were at like a Sandals, and we met them, Scott and Lisa, and we became instant fast friends. Like, he is the type of guy that I just love hanging out with. Lisa is the most amazingly sweet woman ever, and their personalities is great, and we just loved hanging out with them. They became our buddies the rest of the week. And at one point we were on one of these boats, on some sailboat or whatever, and he's telling me he's got like, I got like 5 knives on me. I'm like, really? That's so cool. I was like totally naive to everything. He's like, yeah, I just wish I could have my gun on me. I'm like, what? Why would you carry one of those?
What?
And so at one point, of course, you know, the topic got onto guns, and I'm like, man, I'd really like to get my first one soon. Now that I'm a real man,
Yeah,
and married.
Right.
He's like, well, what would you like to get? I'm like, well, man, I'd sure love to get a 1911. Those things are super cool. You know, one that looks exactly like it's from World War II. That's what I want to get. And he goes, well, that may not be what you want to get. He's like, I have one. Like, Scott's like a collect, like he's got a bunch,
Right?
Like we all become, right? And he's like, listen, when you get home, you need to watch this video. It's called 1911 Suck. And I didn't even write down the name of the person, like the channel or whatever. And I was just like, okay, sure. So I went home, watched that video, and about 4 hours later, after I'd watched like 800 or 900 Jaeger videos,
yes.
I was like, I don't know anything. Like, I knew some things, like, you know, I was in the Boy Scouts, so I got some exposure to the kind of fuddy NRA nonsense when I was a kid. So I thought I knew some things, because I'd been shooting before, and I'd rented guns. But this was the first exposure to that mindset, that life. And I'm like, And then, of course, like, dove right into like, the 4 firearm safety rules, and why 9mm is the gun to go, and like you know, just like hours later, I'm like, and like the draw strokes, the 4 steps of the draw stroke, and all this. I'm like, wow, okay. So it took me a little while. I think it was about a year before I went from watching the first video of tactical response to going to my first class. But that was that helped me, because like in that year I'd gone shooting and I got my first gun or whatever. So I kind of was like, oh, well, good. I will get a Galco leather belt instead of some other bullshit thing from Amazon. And I will get a Galco, I think it was what did they call it? There was a Galco like Kydex holster. That could be worn either outside or inside the waistband.
I had it.
Yeah, it's a great holster. So I got that, and like there were a lot of things that helped guide me into like, oh, well, at least I didn't do all these stupid other shitty things. Of course, I didn't listen, and I got like a 40 caliber gun. I think we talked about that on the podcast, but like that was because I was listening to my brother-in-law, who's a cop.
My father.
Yeah, 40. It's the best of both worlds.
Well, 45 was, as far as he was concerned, the smallest he would go.
Yeah, because they don't make a 46.
Right. So I had to be a rebel and go with a 40.
Yeah.
Not the 45.
Well, either way, so I had some exposure through the channel, whatever, and then one August, about 13 years ago or so, I forget the exact year, this was a big deal for me, because like I'd never gone anywhere alone. Like, I'm a very social person. Like, I enjoy being around people. I'm not a huge fan of solitude. Don't get me wrong, I've gotten better with it, and like I can deal with being alone. Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm so afraid of it. I just prefer people. Like, I had made the decision to go. Jamie wasn't coming with me, and I had to get my own hotel room. I had to eat at it was weird for me to think like,
to eat alone.
I'm going to have to go get food
right
at like the Walmart to like have lunch, but I'm not, it's just going to be me. And I'm going to go have dinner and I'm going to eat alone. Like, I'll just get food and eat in the hotel room, I guess. And it was like a weird thing. Like, I was just like, this is an uncomfortable situation for me. And I think I've told other people about this too. Like, I was the worst student, like not like skills wise, but I was like totally unprepared. And like, I'm harder on myself about this than other people were. I think we talked about it in the Jay and Gary podcast, episode 1. Like, it was a very uncomfortable situation for me, and I was very out of my element, but I knew there was something special about it. And I still remember, like, I was in a bad way health-wise at that class, which still took me a long time to get out of, but like, I was even heavier than I am now. I think I was probably like 420, 430 pounds or something like that. I was smoking, like, not a lot, like, but I guess I was
not a good combination.
No. And I was like a stressed social smoker or whatever. And for some reason I thought it was cool to like, oh, well, we're in between strings. I'm going to have a cigarette because maybe I'm stressed or whatever. And it was that moment where I was like walking towards the back of the lot or whatever. We were in between strings, and I had obviously met Jaeger that morning. He was one of the instructors in the class. He walked up to me, and he immediately walked in and like as somebody would address a close friend.
Uh-huh.
Like, and that's what caught me off guard about it. He's like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know I care about you. You mean a lot to me, and you being here and you doing this, like smoking and not taking care of yourself, not eating right, and do all that stuff. That's going to fucking kill you. And that would kill me. Like, that would hurt me to see you do that. And you should change that." And I was like, I was just blown away. I was like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I think I said thank you and whatever. And I wish I could have remembered the entire moment, because that was one of the most pivotal moments of my life. Was somebody who I, at that time, probably quote unquote idolized. Like, that I was like, oh, this dude's famous. And I've learned so much from him from a TV screen. Like, he's a celebrity in my mind. Yeah. Coming up to me and expressing nothing but absolute, like, candidness and care. Not like, straight up like love, like that, or at least that's what I felt. I know it's getting gushy, but, that was my first exposure to him. And, it changed everything. Like, from that moment forward, I knew I wanted to be a better person, like, for my family, for my community, for like my fellow students. Like, it changed everything for me in that moment. And immediately from then on, I was like, I need to get the fuck out of New Jersey. Like, that was the number one thing I left leaving that class of, because I couldn't live who I want, like, be the life that I wanted, or live the life I wanted to live while living in New Jersey. Because I was like, well, I'm going to carry a gun now because that's what you're supposed to do, because that's what men do. And it changed everything. Yeah. Everything from that moment. Like, that, it was fighting pistol. It was at Palmyra Sportsman Association. And that's why I'm like so excited about like what Tactical Response does in terms of bringing their curriculum other places, because that was so positively impactful on my life that I'm like, that needs to happen for others. Yeah.
Same, like I had a very private experience with James, because and there was quiet music and candlelight. Was there saxophone? Exactly. It has to be saxophone.
Yeah, Careless Whispers.
Yes. So I'd met him the night before because I showed up at like 9:00 at night
at his house.
At
the team room,
which, by the way, is awkward as fuck the first time.
Oh my god, the fucking team room.
The signs. If you don't know what's in here, stay the fuck out. Like, right. Just everything was like
the mythical team room. Yes, is like there's so much anxiety. Like, the first time I went down there to the team room, I was super anxious and like
I didn't want
I tried to read every single post I could find on Get Off the X about what you're supposed to do at the team room.
Yes.
Because I didn't want to mess anything up.
Yes. Like I have to park the right way.
Yeah.
I have to park the right way.
Yeah.
Like everything. But I came in, like I handed him this barbed wire bat, which I'm sure he was like, you're a fucking weirdo. And I brought like a case of toilet paper because, you know, I'm sure it can be used. Anyway, the next day I show up to register for class, and I always, whenever I go down, I always go down a couple days ahead so I have a chance because it's a 14-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
And James was at the shop, and he's like, "Hey, you were the one that wanted to shoot that pistol, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, jump in the truck, let's go to the range."
Oh, yeah.
And so we were going to the range. We are just kind of bullshitting along the way, and we get to one of the shotgun ranges, and he had to replace some of steel targets. So I just did what I do, and I started picking stuff up and helping him carry it, and his attitude changed immediately. Like, it wasn't cold before, but it was kind of like, yeah, and then it turned.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wound up, he gave me like a 45-minute private instruction at the range. It was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
It was absolutely amazing.
I mean, it's great. Any time with James was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he was like super funny. Like, and here's the thing, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, because like the number one thing I was trying to think of, like, what's the thing that captured me about him, is absoluteness.
Yes.
And because that's not something that I am, and it isn't like I'm saying like, oh, I need to be an absolutist on things. But it's like, you know, when you find people that complement or like, you know, have a synergistic effect, like he is very much the absolutist on everything.
Yep.
So like you're in, you're out. This thing's good or this thing's bad. This thing's black and white. And, you know, it helped me kind of like frame some things the way I thought about things in the world. Yeah. But like, that's what reminded me of it, was you saying like, oh, he was kind of like, I was on the fence. So it seems like, you know, it was like, oh, he was waiting to see what the input was before I was in.
Yep.
And yeah, I know that feeling.
Yep.
And I know, and that part of him, that kind of like aspect of his personality was the thing that like, quote unquote, attracted me to him.
Yeah. Cause
it was like, oh man, that's awesome. I need to learn enough about things to have an absolutist view on some stuff.
Yep.
Which is fun. And then like his sense of humor about it, and like the kind of like, well, fuck them, fuck those haters.
Yeah, right.
Like it's just like being around that was so much fun.
Yeah, there was an authenticity there that was completely unabashed, and like that about him reminded me so much of my dad.
Oh yeah.
You know, my dad had already passed. You know, my dad passed in 2008. And like my dad very much reminded me of my dad, because my dad was like, this is who I am. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself. And I definitely have the same kind of mental state that, you know, I am who I am. If you don't like it, then you can go suck a dick. You know, so yeah, there's a lot of people that have been students of tactical response that never got the chance to meet him.
Yeah.
And even ones that got the chance to meet him never got the opportunity to have one-on-one time with that man. Yeah. I have had multiple chances to have that time, and I cherish every one of them.
Yeah, me too. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite memories of tactical response is trying to remember, because I went down to Camden 2 or 3 times for a couple of classes. And there was one time I went down, I think it was, I took Way of the Rifle. And actually that's where I met Brian Keeney and a few other awesome people. But so I went down for that class, and remember calling Marilyn before I was heading down. I was like, hey, can I stay in the team room? Is there a spot? Yeah, sure, honey, no problem. And like, you learn later that like nobody lists. Like, there's no list of who's in the team room or like a slot.
And there's people that start at Fighting Pistol and say, you know what, I'm staying for the trifecta. And all of a sudden you've got an extra 10 people that weren't supposed to be there. So yeah.
Right. So flew down, got down there, got all my shit into the team room, rented a car, all this stuff.
Just to pause you. So for those of you that don't know what the team room is, the team
room is James's basement.
Yeah. So he basically has 14 bunks that are in the basement that you can sleep at. There's bathrooms, there's showers, there's a refrigerator, there's a little kitchenette thingy.
Right.
About 1,000 DVDs.
All cool shit.
A very comfortable
fucking martial arts Japanese movies and, American Sniper and all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Heat.
If there's a guy movie that he has it, and a bunch you've never heard of. Anyway, so just as reference, that's what the team room is. In case you don't know,
it's a whole experience along with taking classes at tactical response, which has led to a lot of fun.
Yep.
Like it's a great aspect of camaraderie because you're not just stuck in a hotel room with one other person or yourself.
It's almost the other half of it.
I would say that it's
equation.
There are times I've been down there where I'm like, this is the best part about it.
Yep.
I also know people that have been down there and be like, this is the worst part about it. But anyway, you make your own out of it. But so I was going down there. I needed to get into the team room. Got in there and like every single bunk was taken and there were 2 dudes on couches.
Yep.
And I'm like, are any of you guys leaving tonight? Oh no, we're all here tomorrow for the class. Huh. Okay. Luckily I had my own car. I was like, I'll just go somewhere else. I mean, like, I don't know what the rules are, right? Like, I don't want to overstay or like, so, had my gear in the car or whatever. We went to we were meeting at the shop that night for something. And, I saw James there. I'm like, hey brother, and I think that was the second time I had ever seen him, maybe the third. I'm like, hey man, is it cool if I stay on the couch in the team room? I think there was like one slot or like one arm open. I would have, figured out how to fit my fat ass on the couch or something. And I'm like, I just didn't know what the rules are. If it's, cool if I stay there, if I'm not on a bunk. And he's like, oh, is there too many people in there? I'm like, oh no, I think there's room on the couch. I'll just stay there. He's like, oh no, fuck that. You'll just stay with me. What? I'm like, I'm already staying with you. He's like, no, you'll stay with me upstairs. And there's another bedroom upstairs that I guess they reserve. Yep. And like, it's not like some special spot. Like, no. I think if anybody ever needed the space, they would more than welcome, take that spot. One of the showers upstairs too, I think was always designated for whoever's downstairs, but nobody ever wants to go upstairs.
Right.
Like that's Yeager's house. Like we don't want all the dudes bothering Yeager's family. So I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And don't worry about it. Okay.
And stop fucking asking me if you're sure.
Yeah, stop fucking asking me if you're sure. Okay.
The next thing is stop being a bitch.
Yeah.
And
so I was down there for a week and like just posted up in his guest room upstairs, and every night would hang out with him and Rebecca on the couch, and we'd watch like fucking movies, gun guy movie. Like I think I remember watching The Other Guys. I think it was the one with Russell Crowe and Ryan something or other, that really handsome looking dude from Barbie.
Oh, from Philippi or no, I know what you're talking about. Oh, what the hell's his name?
Ken.
Yeah, Ken.
Whatever. I remember watching that down there with him, and we just bullshit through the whole thing and talk about. And this was 6 months before Lizzie was born. This was kind of like my last hurrah. Like, I'm gonna not be able to train for a while because I want to be a dad. And I remember, just bullshitting about kids and family, and that conversation on that couch is where I got like the best piece of advice, or at least something that's been a guiding piece of advice for how I'm a parent to Lizzie, in terms of like, I remember James saying, don't pick them up. I was like, how so? He's like, well, think of how that could apply and then apply it. Like, if they cry when they're little, don't pick them up.
Right.
If they fall down when they're a teenager and they get into some trouble, don't pick them up. Yep. Like, don't coddle them. Yep. Like don't, and as soon as I heard that, I'm like, huh, yeah, I can see that being a thing. And then I've been very cognizant of it since I talked to him, and since Lizzie was born, and that was 6 years ago now. And, like, I think it's been a huge tool in kind of forming who she is and seeing how she is compared to other kids in terms of like how she can brush off like scraping her knee or getting a bump on the
breaking
head
her wrist
or breaking her wrist or and I'm not trying to make like the hardest girl in the world,
No.
but I'm just trying to like, I'm like, that was a huge help for us in terms of how like a parental philosophy. And I was like, damn,
yeah.
you know, like, you know, hopefully I get to kind of share that with Lizzie someday too, in terms of like, hey, this helped influence who we are as parents.
Yep.
And now you, generations after, and you will never even know this guy.
Yep. Same thing, like the statement of, you know, how a child is properly raised is the friction between the mother who's trying to protect the child from the world and the father who's trying to prepare the child from the world. And that intersection, that friction, as he would put it, is what, in his opinion, makes a good human being. James was one of the wiser people that I have ever dealt with or talked to or listened to or watched when it came to human interaction. And yeah, same thing. Like, now I was older at the time, you know, I first was down in 2017. That was my first class. So like, and I was a little older, so I already had, you know, kids or whatever, but still the things that he said were impactful. Like I don't think there's any single individual that has had as much impact on me as an adult as him.
Yeah, as an adult, I would 100% agree. Not even. So here's the thing. Like, I've also surrounded myself with a group of people that have been incredibly impactful on me.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of that group was also impacted by Jaeger.
Yeah.
So like,
We seem to find each other.
it is his influence is prolific.
Yep.
And I think that's his lasting legacy, far beyond like the school itself and like the persona on YouTube and all that stuff, but like the impact he's had on a bunch of people and like the generosity that he has shared with so many people, that echoes.
Yep. The one thing he was beyond generous with was his time, and that's one of those things you can't get that back. Like, he was 100% all in with you. You know, no distractions, no nothing. He was there with you, in conversation with you. And that's one of those things that, you know, as many different directions as he was being pulled in, his willingness to do that was always, you know, impressive for me. And I think the idea of his influence on you affecting the way you're parenting your child, which can potentially affect their children.
Yeah.
And that ripple that's his legacy.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Forget the gun stuff. I mean, yes, all that's important, but just the impact on these people and how they will future impact the people around them, their children, their children's children.
Yeah.
That's, in my mind, that's his legacy.
I agree. But God, enough about Jaeger.
Yeah, right.
Jeez. I didn't think, you know,
Yeah,
I knew we were going to talk about backdoor response.
We were just slobbing on the knob like for the last 45 minutes.
You know?
Okay, so favorite trainer. Pick one.
Don't make me pick.
Yes, pick.
Jay Gibson.
That was really hard for him to do.
I just don't want to admit.
It came right out. Favorite class.
SUT. 100%. Love that class. I like I said, I'm a people person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like being around people. The thing that a lot of people don't like that makes them uncomfortable about SUT are the things that I went down there for. And that is, hey, I want to be stuck in a house with 20 other people and figure out solutions to problems.
Yes.
That was fun for me.
I believe it.
all the gun stuff I had done before.
Right.
Car stuff, some small unit tactics stuff, bounding.
But putting it all together.
Putting it all together and working as a team, that was so much fucking fun.
Yes.
So, I mean, the answer should be fighting pistol, right? Like, I mean, that's obviously one of my favorites.
Your answer can be your answer. It doesn't have
and
to
I'm
be
not
any
sure
particular
which
thing.
I'm not sure which time of the 5 that I've taken would be my favorite.
The time that you were offhand the entire time one-handed?
No, I never did that.
You
Actually,
took it
I
5
think I may have
times.
only done it like 3 times, but I've taken like advanced 3 times and
Okay.
like fighting shotgun twice.
Because I know there's like an unspoken rule that if you've taken it 3 or 4 times,
You're supposed to go offhand.
Yes.
And, like challenge yourself. Don't just
Right.
do. But yeah, I loved all the classes, and like each one I could go on for like hours on. It's like, this is really good because of this, and But what's yours? What's your favorite class?
for me, for specific was immediate action medical. But that was because I had a
But
very
there's no guns in that one.
No, there's not. It was a very
And there's no paper.
I
There's no
know.
holes
There's no
in
holes.
paper. And
there's
like
nothing to boost your ego.
no, it's just stuff to
just-
pound it down into the dirt.
Just tourniquets. After
Tourniquets.
tourniquet.
You are a
after
sadist, aren't you?
You have no idea. But I when I came down for immediate
These
action,
are my go time tourniquets. These are my training tourniquets,
Yes.
and these are bedroom tourniquets.
yes, the bedroom tourniquets are the best. Anyway, they're the ones that have like the sticky stuff on them. But anyway,
And
I digress.
Fuzzy windlasses.
Ooh, pink fuzzy windlasses. But we had 6 people sign up for the class, which is not a big number. It's not a small number.
It's a good number.
It's a good
though.
number.
Yeah.
And then when I arrived, James said, there's 2 of you. And he said, fuck that. We're still putting the class on.
Yep.
We're not canceling this class. And we had Jerry, who is my favorite instructor as a result. We had Jerry for 2 days, just me and FPS Murdoch. And he abused the fuck out of us and allowed us also to delve into his wealth of knowledge. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I think I'm the medical geek I am because of it.
Yep.
And that definitely for me is my focus when it comes to this world of things. So
that's I mean, there's no better story there's no better answer than the medical class.
I love it.
It's good. I wish I have taken the advanced medical advanced immediate.
I
action.
haven't yet.
You
I
haven't?
will.
Maybe we'll have to take a shared
Ooh.
trip at some point.
You mean sometime when like I actually can commit to the trip?
Yeah, not being a bitch.
Not being a bitch.
Or maybe someday we'll just really fucking kill ourselves and go take the medical contractor class, which I hear is the worst fucking time in the world.
Yes, and they're offering it.
Are they?
I think I've
I'm
heard.
busy. When is it? I'm busy.
I'll find out.
Yeah, no, that's.
Well, you know what we'll do? We'll go down and it'll be a round robin of we're not telling you what this class is. You're not going to know what it is till you get there, and then it'll be medical contractor.
I guarantee you, if we take medical contractor, you know who's going to be the shot guy in every drill? Me.
Yeah, probably.
And then I have to live with being the guy that everyone has to save all the time. No, thank you. I would rather kill myself by dragging every other person.
Galifianakis, or whatever his name is.
Yeah. But that would be fun.
It'd be awesome.
What do you have coming up? Like, what's your next thing on the list for tactical response? Like, do you have anything planned out?
The one thing I definitely am doing this year, I'm going to role play for the fight.
Oh,
I have committed that this year I am going to role play for the fight. It's going to happen.
When? Do you know when?
I don't know.
Okay, so if you want the opportunity to shoot Max, make sure you pay attention to the channel.
And fucker, you can't miss me.
Yeah,
I'm a friggin' big target.
Yeah, maybe I'll go down and role play with you.
That'd be fucking awesome.
I would love to. I love going down there. All those people, like, I know we gushed about James for a while, and like we talked about our favorite instructors, both of which are I would consider to be like OGs, like like Jerry, Jay. Man, I can go on about all the dudes that I've like.
Tim,
Gary. Like, I mean, obviously, I have a relationship that went on with Gary that is ongoing. Where we
you
just
can keep that private. You don't.
I'm proud of it. No, but like those types of relationships with those instructors and people that I have the honor of being either associated with now in teaching or with helping them through Bulletn. Like those guys are awesome, but like even the dudes that are there now, because like
Lewis.
it's a progression, right?
Yeah.
Like there is an evolution of teaching that is going on there, and the torch has been passed down from, I mean, instructor generation to another. And like there's dudes that were there way before any of the guys that I learned from. But I love seeing how that kind of gets handed down. Like Joey, Lewis, Brian.
Well, if it doesn't get handed down, it dies.
Right.
That's the reality. The reality is if you don't find a way to find that next cadre, it's going to die.
Well, that is okay. And no bullshit about it. The strongest thing about tactical response, hands down throughout the years, and a lot of people would say, oh, well, it existed because of Jaeger. I would beg to differ in the sense that it wasn't what Jaeger's personality was able to do. I think the strongest thing that they ever had going for them was his ability to build the cadre.
Yes.
And the people that like were the nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes, the guys that were on the range every day, those guys.
Yep.
Not detracting from anybody else, but like that ability and still I see it to this day. Like their ability to cultivate that crew is bar none.
Yep. And that includes longtime students that have become cadre.
Yes, absolutely.
That have become,
which helps do that, because it is a culture that proliferates itself.
Yep.
As long as you have good people teaching, you will have good students that want to then teach.
Yep.
And that is, I wish I lived closer to Tennessee, because I guarantee, like, that would have been. It's probably a good thing I don't live closer, because like that would have been a life goal for me of like, oh, I want to wear that green shirt.
Yep.
Luckily I've been like, well, I'm way too far away for that. Like that is that in my mind, that's the epitome of usually kind of like joining a crew, like joining a teaching crew. Cause they've been really good at it. And combined with an amazing cadre is a solid, mature, and one can say even adaptive curriculum.
Yeah.
That has changed somewhat over the years. Like I've taken fighting pistol enough to know, like, see things change. I've heard it from instructors that are there, to hear all that kind of evolve throughout time, but also stay true to what it is.
Yes.
And teach the things that it needs to teach.
It's kept everything that makes it what it is, but they have also adapted to times.
Yeah, it's great.
It's what you want out of a curriculum.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when I built I teach a 1-day live fire pistol and carbine class. In my head, the benchmark is, well, is this fighting pistol? Yep. And how do I make it different from fighting pistol so that I don't feel like I'm trying to just take from that or regurgitate it?
Yeah.
And it's very difficult because so
they
much
did
of it
so
is
well.
good. And like, thankfully I've had exposure to other thinkers too, people who have developed curriculum that is different. So I get a different perspective, which is the benefit of training with other trainers. So like you get to kind of pick and choose some of these things that are great. Like, oh, I get to learn this thing that I've learned from Gary and this thing from Sonny and all this other stuff. And you pull it together, but it's still in my brain always compared to the tactical response curriculum, because that's what I learned on.
What's exciting for me is this March, my daughter is going down. She's got a break from being between assignments, so she's going to go take a 1-day fighting pistol.
Oh, one day
by herself, just her and the instructor.
I love it.
Which is
not intimidating at all. Do you know who's teaching it?
Probably Joey.
Joey, nice.
I think it's going to be fantastic. There's going to be parts that she's going to miss because she's not going to have the group of people staying in the team room. There's going to be a part of that that she's going to miss. But it warms my heart to know that I'm passing that down. And no matter what, my other kids are taking it. My wife, she's taking immediate action medical.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get her in fighting pistol. But yeah, it's awesome, and yes, I have done as much as I can to influence this to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to brain dumping with her afterwards.
Nice. Yeah, I mean I would love for that to be something that Lizzie does down the line too.
Yep.
Like, hopefully I'll be able to give her some level of foundation like they were able to give to me, but like it would bring me so much joy to see her when she's a little bit older, for us to go take a tactical response class together, just because it's fucking nostalgic. And I love that place and those people, and like that I think would be I'm super jealous of you right now that your daughter's going. I wish you could go with her.
Oh, dude.
I know you're gonna feel bad for me even mentioning that you can't, but it's because you're lame.
Well, there's two parts.
Super lame.
Super lame. There's two parts that like part of me would love to go and do it with her. Part of me doesn't want to.
No, it's
because honestly, me going would be for me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm more than willing to fuck myself and not allow myself to have the thing I want for betterment of her experience.
I think that's very mature of you. I would not be able to do that. I'd be like, no, I need to be there to watch this.
Trust me. I really should be like, okay, listen, I know you don't usually do this, but what I want you to do is put a camera on.
Yeah.
Like my child taking something that was so pivotal for me in my life is 100% a huge high point for me right now.
Mm-hmm. Next, so that's the next thing that's happening in your life regarding tactical response.
How about you?
So they have an awesome class on the books called the Contractor Sampler.
Fuck.
I am trying to adjust my schedule so that I can, because I have another training obligation the weekend that's starting, but I'm hoping that I can maybe talk to them and see if I can come a day late, like the next morning that the class actually starts, and hopefully be there that week. Because there's again, coming back to the people thing, there are dudes from my SUT class that are going to be in that sampler class.
That'd be fucking awesome.
So it's my team. My team leader is there,
Yes,
Tanner. I don't know if you listen to this, but I would love to be your comms guy again. And Isaac Demarest, I think were we talking about him before?
Well, because he was just recently on TAC Response. They're talking about the NRA
and
the movements that we talked about last episode. Isaac's
an awesome dude. He's on the board at the NRA, I believe, and he's also one of my teammates from the SUT class that I took at Tactical Response. I think they're both going to be down there along with some other guys, and I love that week. I love that crew. And
I'm assuming Jay's running it.
I would assume so. So like, there's all the good things that I want to happen, and I'm gonna see if I can. That would be by far a highlight of my training year, like a big goal. So if I can make that happen, I will.
Well, hopefully you can, because I mean, everything about that class sounds like it's going to be FAFO on steroids.
Well, yeah, it's going to be one day of like very heavy knowledge dumped into one particular subject. Like, hey, we're going to learn some sniper DMR stuff one day, and we're going to learn maybe some car stuff. I don't even know. You
get to enjoy FAFO without having to worry about running a drone.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would. I think if I go down there, I would still offer to do like the media stuff.
Don't.
No, that's what I do.
I know it's what you do, but go to actually take the class.
No, but I want to get the word out there about stuff. But anyway, so if we can, I'm going to make that happen. What about alumni? Are you going for alumni? By the way, I don't know if anybody, if you're unaware, Tactical Response also has a 1 day of free training every year for any alumni of the school. I think it's in July usually every year.
Yeah, it's usually in the worst possible time. And actually, do you know that's the reason why?
Yeah, so that people don't die. Yeah,
No.
It's because it's hard to sell other classes on that weekend.
Well,
because it's so hot.
The whole point, apparently, originally of not the whole point, but one of the reasons for the timing was that it was their slowest time of the month.
Sure.
So it was a way to not only bring in people to town, but also to offer classes before and after.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets people taking classes when they normally wouldn't take it.
Yeah. Also, it is a
Yeah.
huge tool for building community.
Yeah.
I've been a couple of times. I'd love to go again. I just don't know what the dates are this year, but it's a good time. It's a day of free training, and it's kind of like one of those things of like, if you can go, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Because like it's everybody gets together. It's a good time. There's kind of a party atmosphere, and it's definitely one of the benefits. One of the cultural benefits of the tactical response community.
I was lucky. I think lucky enough is probably the wrong phrase, but when I was down in Tennessee, it was Zach's send off while I was down in Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
So I was able to, hook up with some people that I haven't seen in forever.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic. So yeah, I'm trying to make that happen this year because I really wanted to make it happen last year and didn't. And I felt pretty crappy that I wasn't able to, but had a conversation with Kayla who straightened my ass out. So,
yeah. So a lot of awesome things.
Yep.
We're super excited about them, hopping on Bulletn and for you guys being able to find all their classes on there. And again, to hopefully be bringing them back up to Pennsylvania sometime soon, hopefully this year, if not next. And we'll definitely get the dates out there about that stuff. But Max, is there anything else on tactical response, your experiences that you wanted to cover off on?
I mean, it's family.
Yeah.
It's imperfect. It has its imperfections. It has its struggles. It has its frictions. But it's one of those things, like, I know for me that if someone's an alumnus, I immediately have a connection. There's a certain qualification there.
Yeah. There's a bona fide aspect to it.
Bona fides.
Bona fide.
Bona fide. Yeah, it's family. And every time I've been there, it has been like coming home.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I've never looked for a house in middle of Tennessee.
I have
so crazy.
I've not only looked, but found and even explored work options.
Yeah.
Because literally, you could live a half an hour from Camden and also live half an hour to 45 minutes from the outskirts of Nashville and find work anywhere you'd like to find work. So it's been more than explored.
Yeah.
I just need some chloroform, duct tape, and maybe a cage.
You don't have to chloroform me. I will
Not
come.
you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not for you.
Oh, all right. All right. So enough
Anyway.
about gushing on tactical response.
Yes.
Stay tuned next week where we talk about all the shitty things about. No, I'm kidding. No, but they're good people. It's a great place to train. I look forward to working with them and all the other trainers out there to kind of get students into classes. That's what we're all about. That's what tactical response is all about. That's what all the other trainers that we work with on Bulletn are all about. It's a great thing to see. Like,
more of this keeps bullshit like that fucking bill that should be called tyranny. How to promote tyranny.
The anti-training tyranny bill.
Like this is more training and more people exposed to this way of life and this way of thinking, this mindset will keep that crap from becoming a reality.
Yep. So make sure you stay tuned to the podcast. Check out the social channels next week for all the stuff relating to SHOT Show. Check out bulletn.net for all the training that's happening near you, including tactical response classes. Check out Max's channel.
I've been very lazy, because deep down I'm a lazy fuck.
Yeah.
And
Well, we do this every week.
We do
like
do
this is part of what you're doing.
I
too.
know. But definitely check out. Mike's gonna be having stuff come out on Bulletn. You should be subscribed to his channel. If you're not, you're wrong.
As Dick Cancer,
his
as Tim Morris would say.
Production quality on his videos is ridiculously good
when I make them.
when he makes them. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come back from SHOT Show with and seeing the coverage that you have. Hoping that you get the conversations you're looking for, because I'm really looking forward to watching those.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's about it for this week.
Yes, sir.
We've covered it all. We've chatted about all the things.
Yes.
There's nothing left to say other than get smart, stay ready, find training.
See you later, guys.